My name is Don Knotts, and I've got a secret.
From Hollywood, the show that reveals all, I've Got a Secret. And now let's meet the star of I've Got a Secret, Steve Allen.
Good evening and welcome again to I've Got a Secret. Tonight's panelists are a familiar face on TV and at our house, Jane Meadows, that eminent secretaire, Mr. Henry Morgan, one of our favorite panelists, the lovely actress Anita Gillette, and the joker and our deck, Richard Dawson. And that's our
thank you.
Well, I don't see why not.
Right to work as we meet tonight's first guest. Welcome, sir. Would you tell the panel your name?
Raymond Sokolov.
Mr. Sokolov, what's your occupation?
I'm the food editor of the New York Times.
Food editor. Ordinarily, our audiences do not applaud for jobs, but I guess they're a little hungry at this time of the evening. Well, panel, Mr. Sokolov, in his capacity with the New York Times, recently conducted a consumer tasting session to test 11 widely marketed brands of prepared foods, and his secret, of course, involves this tasting session. If you'll whisper your secret to me, Mr. Sokolov, unless you've been eating onions, that is, we'll let the audience know what it is. All seriousness aside, folks. All right. All right, panel, the audience now knows the secret, which involves, as I've told you, his food tasting session, and we'll start the questioning with Richard Dawson.
May I call you Raymond, sir?
Ray.
Oh, I'm not prepared to go that far.
Please.
Okay, Ray. Are we trying to find a particular type of food that you tested?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a frozen food that we'd find in a supermarket?
I don't think it's ever frozen, but I'm not sure of that.
It's not frozen. Is it is it margarine or butter or an equivalent, a dairy product of some kind?
It's not a dairy product, no.
No. Is it an artificial product? Something the way they say it's, apple.
You mean completely artificial?
Yeah. Is it a totally artificial food product? Is it edible?
Yes, it's edible. Thank you, Richard.
You might.
1 down and 3 to go. Jane?
Now, is it just one thing we're to get, or is it the 11 that we have?
No, just the whole. They're all the same.
They're
just
all the
different
same.
brands.
Would it be in the vegetable family?
Well, you mean non-meat?
Yes.
Well, partly.
Because there was such a laugh from the audience, it sounded like it might be something like garlic or onions or something like that.
Well, that's involved.
Yeah. If it had been onions, I would not have made a joke about onions, I assure you.
But would it be, you said it's involved?
Well, I mean, you shouldn't exclude that entirely.
But if you concentrate on it, you will never get the secret, I promise.
Okay. All right, so it's not a vegetable. Would it be something eaten at one meal more than another?
Yes.
This is very interesting. Ray disagrees.
I'm glad it keeps you interested.
Oh, very much so. But Ray, I think, disagrees with the audience and with you.
Well, it's one of those. It's an ambiguous question, and just forget it. It won't help you.
All right.
Henry, are you as confused as the rest of us?
Oh, no. Ray, I'll go that far.
Yes, Henry. Hank.
Watch it. You can call me Mr. Morgan, but after a while, right. I gathered from something that was said that this is a mixed-up deal of some kind.
Well, it's several different kinds of products that are all in the same category.
Okay.
And there often is a mixture involved, yes.
There often is. Would this in any way be like Chinese food?
I do like Chinese food.
No, I didn't ask you that. I said...
Would you like some?
What?
No, well...
Anything.
If as a wild, would it be a thing like chow mein, say?
I don't know how to answer that question.
It's more like chow mein than it is like the Empire State Building.
I know, like these guys as well. Is it a food that we usually get served to us made up of...
It depends on where you eat, Henry.
Well, I
Yeah. I think Jane has got the idea, but we'll save that.
Jane always has the idea.
Oh, yeah. What's your idea, Anita?
But it's not something
Let
like...
me just tell you one thing, honey.
What?
It's not like the Empire State Building.
And it's not like... Is it like pizza of any kind at all?
Not really, no.
But is it... You do eat it, don't you?
Yeah, I did.
But did you like it?
Very little of it.
Very little.
He probably has never eaten it before.
Oh, it's something that you would never... I wouldn't eat it, would I?
Well, you might.
I might.
Actually, a fair number of people do, but it isn't well known.
Is it like an insect of some sort, like an ant or
No. It's not an insect.
It's not chocolate-covered ants or
As Mr. Sokolov suggested, millions of people actually do eat it, but not for very happy reasons. Richard? Oh, you've already had your chance. Get off the stage, Richard.
I've had enough.
We're too busy here doing a program for your
Jane
nonsense.
thought she knew, but now I'm not so sure. I thought maybe it was dog food.
That's what it is. Mr. Sokolov, can you explain to us why did an expert on fine restaurants and gourmet food decide to taste dog food?
Well, I learned that we spend more as a nation on dog food in a year than we do on baby food. And since the dog food is really marketed toward the owner rather than the dog's palate, I thought we would make a little fun as well as educate people about dog food.
Who was your associate in this test?
My Saluki, whose name is Cleo.
Saluki is a dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, some people don't know.
No, that's just East Coast lingo for stenographer.
Well, we have some of the doggy dishes here that were actually tested, and if we open the Great Wall, it'll be Chinese food time again. No, let's see what we have over there. And while we dine, we have in the other room Xavier Cugat playing for your dining and dancing pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. What's this, sir?
Well, this is beef and egg dinner with vegetables. Would you like to try some?
Not while I'm eating, no. Am I supposed to test it just as you did?
Well, I think it would be nice. Doesn't that look appealing?
Oh, Steve.
Yes, Richard?
If you eat that, you end up chasing cars. Don't eat it.
I'm always chasing Buicks. No, I don't mind the idea of eating food, but it's ice cold. I wouldn't eat ice cold goulash.
It's all pretty terrible, but I didn't do much more than that. I'm going to taste most of these. This one is obviously again designed for the human being, and it's made to look like it's almost all meat.
And what is it?
It's horse meat chunks and meat byproducts.
Good. And they're at the post.
Here is a dry food, which veterinarians told me is the ideal dog food, except that dogs don't like it.
I see. Fricassee of beaks and claws, I believe it is. That's into. This is the dried stuff. You add water to it, right?
Another dry. Well, you can.
Oh, look at these little yellow birds here.
That's chicken flavored, but in fact, I remember tasting this.
You keep your opinions to yourself.
Well, it isn't. It tasted like a sweet Passover cake to me. and here is the only one which I thought really was pretty decent human-wise.
In that case, let's share it with the panel. Johnny, would you serve some of that to our panel? Sit up and beg, panel. Let's go over there, Mr. Sokolov, and see if the panel survives this part of the test.
Kind, thank you.
These are kind of milk bones. Mr. Sokolov, why do they call, quite seriously, why is a milk bone called a milk bone?
I really don't have any idea. It's a trademark. I don't know.
It has milk bone. Well, no, it's called bone because it's shaped like a bone. It's supposed to be bony
Feel
type.
my nose. I don't feel so good.
You know, this reminds me of one of my favorite peeves, the way they advertise this.
What's that,
your
Harry?
dog prefers cheese, or your dog prefers fish, or give him what's missing from, what is secretly in his heart.
That annoys you?
And it annoys me endlessly because it's, as Ray said, appealing to humans, not to dogs. There's no dog goes around saying, I want a little blue cheese, please. That's ridiculous.
No, but this is delicious. Really?
Really?
It is really. It's delicious. Henry, honestly and truly, the butter's very good. That's the best part of it.
Yeah, and with strawberries and cream, it wouldn't be bad either. Well, Mr. Sokolov, you've shown that food editors are a very interesting breed, and among them, you're certainly a thoroughbred. Thank you for joining us.
I've Got a Secret will continue in just 1 minute.
I wash that down.
Okay.
And out, hopefully. Now let's meet our next guest. It just struck me as this nice lady walked out that she walks out cheerfully. Some people are cheerful, and you're cheerful.
Oh, well, you all are breaking me up backstage.
Oh, well, let's go back there and finish the show. I'm sorry. Would you tell the... stop them. Would you tell the panel your name, please?
Yes, my name is Jane Barbie.
Well, Mrs. Barbie, you're a doll, I must say. I'm sure everybody... Oh, wait a minute. Nobody paid to get in. Where are you from, Mrs. Barbie?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, panel, Mrs. Barbie's Mrs. Barbie's voice is oh, gosh. I got a dog bone stuck in my Clyde. I'm sorry. Is thoroughly familiar to all of us. You've heard it many times, and her secret concerns where you have heard her voice. If you'll whisper your secret to me, Mrs. Barbie, we'll let the audience know what it is. Ah, interesting. The audience now knows the secret, of course, and it involves, again, where you might have heard or did hear, I'm sure, Mrs. Barbie's voice. We'll start the questioning with Jane.
Mrs. Barbie, you have a very lovely voice, and of course, being from Atlanta, you have a slight southern accent.
It's there.
Now, is this a voice that we hear on TV?
Not out here. You might in Atlanta, but it's not related to my secret. Right?
True.
Okay.
But we have heard your voice somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are you the voice for a character?
No.
Are you the voice for
Somewhat.
for someone famous?
No.
No.
Not directly. Henry Morgan.
Can't imagine if we don't hear you on TV, the only voices we hear regularly, I think, would be on the telephone. Do you do time or...
That's it, Henry. Yep.
That's right.
May I have that phone, please? Mrs. Barbie's voice is the voice that you hear when you dial for the time. And I never knew until we met her today that she's the voice that you hear all over the country. I thought it was a different voice in each town. I'll dial this number.
You'll hear a voice. You'll hear a man's voice tonight saying, Janie ain't home. She's doing I Got a Secret.
At the tone, the time will be 8:36
There she
and
is.
10 seconds.
Do you know? Do you know something? All the years that I've been dialing for the time, all over the country, it never occurred to me before that it's the same voice.
You know, all those years I owned a watch?
Me too. It's the
You know,
voice.
Jane, it's a fascinating thing why you didn't know it's the same voice. Would you explain why it might sound different?
Well, we don't go for an accent. What we go for is no accent at all. And I should tell you that when I'm working, I lose my southern accent. But when I'm not, I'm me.
But-
I'm a southern gal, that's the way I talk. But we have different attitudes for different parts of the country. For the northeastern part, we would have a little more edge in the voice, a crisper delivery. For Texas, we soften the voice a little and slow it down, you see.
Yes, Henry.
May I ask you this, ma'am? You said we.
Well, I do this for the Autocron Company, which is the company that provides the time service, the weather service, sometimes horoscope service,
But it's only
intercept
you.
messages.
It's only her,
Yes.
yeah.
But I think it's interesting that they picked a southern voice because it's the softest voice.
Very pleasant.
It's
yes.
the most pleasant of all the voices in America.
How often would you guess your voice is heard during the average year?
I am told about 25 billion times.
25
That's
billion.
a heap of talking.
That makes her the biggest recording star of all time. You can't buy her records, but they're big hits. It'd be funny to buy one and just play it all day long just to get time oriented. That's very, very interesting indeed. Now, how do you go about recording the time?
Well, we record the time in segments. We record all of the hours first, and then we record all of the minutes and all of the seconds. Have a huge fat tape like this, and the tape head hops along and picks up the hour, the correct minute, and the correct seconds. And if it's weather, it hops over to the correct weather. Yes.
Now, you said, I don't want to be a pest, but it's fascinating to me. You said we record. Did you do this more than once?
Well, I make a master tape of all of the times and the various weather degrees, you see. And from this, they feed it out to all over the country. And sometimes we have an advertising message that precedes it. And this I have to do frequently because they change, you see. Here you have just the time, I believe, but in some parts of the country, there is a little advertising message that goes before it.
Has a tape ever gotten fouled up and everybody got the wrong time?
Oh, I hope not.
It happened one time, but they don't know what time it was because the tape was fouled up. Thank you very much, Mrs. Barbie, for joining us. Thank you.
We'll be back with our guest star, Don Knotts, right after these messages.
Thank you, Johnny. Panel, we ask you now, please, to put on your little old blindfolds because we're going to bring out tonight's guest star, a fellow I know you all know very well. We worked together for many years. He did some of the wilder comedy routines on my old show. Blindfolds on. Okay, welcome, please, the Emmy Award-winning comedian, Mr. Don Knotts. Oh.
By the way, before we, I just wanted to say something. I don't know who prepares your snacks back there, but it's just awesome.
That's funny. What do you... Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to be working with you again, Don.
Same here, Steve.
Well, whisper your secret to me, and we'll let the audience know what it is, and we'll let me know what it is, too. That's the secret? Well, okay. Panel, Don's secret is that he's doing something right now. We'll start the questioning with Anita.
Hi, Don.
Hi.
Are you doing something with Steve? Why does that get a laugh?
Why not?
Are you doing something to yourself, with yourself, by yourself?
I think we have to clear that through Irving Berlin, don't we?
I'd say with Steve.
You're doing it with Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Are you do you have something in your hands? Some kind of...
No?
Are you doing anything physical?
No.
You're not doing anything...
Well, oh, wait a minute. Excuse me.
As distinguished from mental, it's physical, yeah.
Yes.
It's physical.
You may remove your blindfold now, Anita. Richard?
Oh, that's...
Hi, Don. How are you?
Hi, Richard.
Are you doing something to Steve, like painting him or something?
No.
Are you doing anything, changing costumes?
No.
But you are doing it to Steve, whatever it is?
Not to him, actually.
Well, in a sense.
At him?
With him.
You're doing it with him?
Mm-hmm. I feel like a dummy, I'll tell you that.
You know, you might have to get married to Steve after this show, from what I can... is this some...
I don't think so. Jane, you may take off your blindfold.
No, I'm not taking it off now.
You don't
Now,
want to see.
Don,
Yes.
you said you feel like a dummy. Was that just, something you said, or are you sitting on Steve's lap?
That's what he's doing.
Well, sir, I've never had a better time in my whole life.
Well, your big blabbermouth. No, that's fun.
Away.
It's actually been a lot of fun having you with us again. And it's not the first time I've held him up on television, I'll tell you that. He used to hit the sauce. No, it's very nice to have you. I feel like Edgar Bergen now that he
I can get him for it if you want me to.
Henry, do you have any closing comment before we...
Don't ask him.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Yes.
No, I think it was a fine spot, and
And better luck next time, right?
You
Well, thank
look
you, Don. You may
wonderful.
get up now.
Do I have to?
Get out of here. My pants and I have a pressing appointment. Thank you very much, Don, for being our guest. Don Knotts, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
I've Got a Secret returns after these words.
We're a little late. Our next guest is right here. What's your name, please?
Mrs. Bernie Allen,
Mrs. Bernie Allen. Where do you live?
Paris, California.
Paris, California. Panel, Mrs. Allen's secret, this Mrs. Allen's secret, concerns a hen that she owns and also concerns this basket of eggs. If you'll whisper your secret to me, Mrs. Allen, we'll let the home audience in on it. Interesting. And that's the truth. The audience now knows the secret, which concerns, as I said, Mrs. Allen's hen and this basket of eggs. We'll start the questioning with Henry, I believe.
How about? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ma'am, the only things I know about eggs that people, show around are either they're larger than anybody's or they have more yolks, like double yolked eggs or something like that, or that the hen is raising eggs that are not chickens. They give her some kind of other egg.
It's none of those, Henry.
Or, no, it's all right, I'll get to it. How long is this thing going to... nothing like that.
No.
No. Then I can assume that there is no, what we'd call a gimmick to these eggs. These are ordinary...
No.
No, there is.
These are ordinary hen's eggs.
It's something you probably would describe as a gimmick, if I know your gimmickry, Henry. Anita.
The gimmick is in the eggs? I mean, the gimmick is something to do with the way the eggs look?
Mm-hmm.
The way the eggs look? Are they square? I mean... I thought you might have a deformed hen. I never know. They cut me
Yes,
off.
Richard?
Why do they do that to me?
Because we're out of time. Richard?
Certainly. First of all, you're a very beautiful lady, Mrs. Allen.
Oh.
I just love your face. I just wanted to use one of my questions. Those eggs, do they belong to the hen?
They do.
Are they a different color?
Yes, they are a different color. What color?
Then I don't want to pry any further. It's her business.
Jane, do you have any thoughts?
Would they be brown?
No.
Yellow?
No.
No.
Pink?
Speckled.
Red, blue? Green?
No. Green. That's what they are.
Oh, how lovely.
They're very pale green, but they are green indeed, and we'll get a close-up of them. Very definitely green if your set's tuned up. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, and the answer is she doesn't know why it happens. Nobody has any even theories. It doesn't work at all. We're out of time. Thank you very much, Mrs. Allen. Thank you, panel. See you all next week. Bye-bye.
This is Johnny Olson speaking for I've Got a Secret, a Mark Goodson, Bill Condon production. This program was recorded.
Pick at the wrong time.